welcome to the 5th Annual True Awards for the Lieutenant Governor's Circle on Mental Health and Addiction. My name is Shay Gannam, and I'm with Global News here in Edmonton, and I am delighted to be back as MC for the award ceremony once again this year. To get things started, can I ask you all to please rise for the entrance of Her Honour, the Honourable Lois Mitchell, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta. Please remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute. Thank you. Please be seated. And just before we get started, I'd like to welcome some of the special guests we have in attendance today, if I can. Your Honours, if I can welcome MLA Nicole Gehring here this afternoon, Councillor Scott McKean from City Council here in Edmonton, the Associate Minister of Health, Bandy Payne, is here today, and MLA Heather Sweet. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you all today our Lieutenant Governor and honorary patron of the Circle. You all know her. Her Honour, the Honourable Lois Mitchell, has a resume of accomplishments that really is extraordinary. It is remarkable and very, very demonstrative of her firm commitment to community service and volunteerism in the province. Her belief in the value of amateur sport to both individuals and the community as a whole has prompted extensive volunteer service extending to many, many areas. She's long been a proud patron of the Special Olympics Canada Foundation, and the Mitchells themselves have extended generous patronage over the years to a variety of programs and scholarships to support Canada's athletes and to foster opportunities for women in amateur sport as well. And Her Honour has served on an extensive number of boards and does volunteer her time in the arts. Lois Mitchell became a member of the Order of Canada in 2012. She received the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal that same year. She was awarded the Alberta Centennial Medal of 2005, was named Calgary Citizen of the Year for 2008. In 1998, she received the Calgary Women of Distinction Award in the category of Arts and Culture. And on June 12th of 2015, she was installed as Alberta's 18th Lieutenant Governor. To begin today's ceremony, Her Honour will bring greetings. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Governor Lois Mitchell.
Thank you so much, Shay. And I do want to say a very good afternoon to everyone. It is my really distinct pleasure to serve as the honorary patron for the Circle and to join you people, it's amazing, for this very special celebration of our inspiring community leaders. But I also was so pleased to be able to be in Okotoks with Cole, who got, there's twice a year, there's the Youth Award. So it was great to be in Okotoks, but I invited Don Ethel. He is a dear friend, past Lieutenant Governor, so he and I did it together, and I know he was so pleased. So I will phone him today and tell him about what went on up here. I know he'll be very pleased. So there are many things that we know for certain about the people in our communities who are living with mental health and addiction concerns. We know they're all of all ages. They come from all walks of life. They live in every corner of the province, and they represent an extremely wide range of life experiences. We also know that while each person walks their own unique path toward what we hope will be recovery and a stronger life, their journeys all have one very important thing in common. At some point, when they reach out for assistance and understanding, someone needs to take their hand and say 3 simple words: I can help. This is the very precious gift that our True Award winners today have offered people in their communities. They have the empathy to understand just how frightening and isolating mental health concerns can be for those who suffer. They also have the energy, the vision, and the compassion it takes to make a meaningful change happen. That is a powerful combination. As Her Majesty, the Queen's representative, it's my very great pleasure to recognize Catherine Martin, John Dowd, Nancy McCalder, the athletes and the leaders of the State Trojans, the staff and the board of the Aventa Center of Excellence for Women in Addictions, and Mackenzie Murphy. So thank you all for your outstanding work to foster stronger and healthier lives for so many people in our province. And thank you for your ongoing efforts to reduce stigma and build bridges of understanding for the benefit of all Albertans. I wish you all success for many more years to come. And finally, I want to make sure I say thank you to all the members of the Circle dedicated board of directors and their volunteers. Saul, I know how many hours you put into this. I truly appreciate your heartfelt dedication to this very worthy cause. And thank you for the great leadership and the effort you've consistently shared with fellow Albertans in need. Thank you all, and enjoy this well-deserved day of celebration.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I would like to now invite the Chair of the Board of Directors, Mr. Saul Rollinger, to come up and tell us a bit more about the Circle and the work that it does. Sir?
Thank you, Shay, and welcome one and all to this glorious afternoon. Your Honor, Lieutenant Governor Lois Mitchell, Associate Minister of Health Payne, MLA Goring and MLA Sweet, Councillor Scott McKeen, all honored award recipients, distinguished guests, mental health leaders and advocates, one and all. The Lieutenant Governor's Circle on Mental Health and Addiction, commonly called the Circle, addresses the public awareness and the public stigma that is the very root of bringing this very public issue out of the closet where it has remained a very private matter. Statistics show that 1/5 of all Albertans are affected directly, and the rest of us, the other 4/5, indirectly by mental health and addiction health issues. We are currently witnessing what some might say is a mental health and addiction issue just south of the border called the American presidential campaign. So it might seem odd that a person who I have quoted in the past is intimately involved in it, none other than the former US President Bill Clinton, who has said, "Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of, but stigma and bias shame us all." I leave it to you to form your own thoughts about the person who made this comment, but I do support the comment made. I would like to recognize our current board of directors just elected at our AGM. His Honor, Colonel Retired Donald Ethel, Ron Campbell, Glynis Lieb, Tom Shand, Jeff Sitch, Camp Tate, and Angus Watt. Together we come together to welcome and recognize and honor 5 True Award recipients and the Donald S. Ethel Youth Award recipient. Our congratulations to them all and to all of this year's nominees. You are all winners for what you have done, for what you do, and what, by the very nature of who you are, you will continue to do to address the very significant issues of mental health, addiction, and the stigma that surround both. The Circle's mandate is to be the champion of addressing the indifference and the ignorance that exists too often in today's society around matters of mental health and addiction. Indeed, it may be our greatest achievement in bettering the mental wellness of the general public to create a fundamental paradigm shift in attitudes and perceptions that mental wellness is to be aspired to and sought after by the acceptance of mental illness as a treatable malady, no different than a broken arm, and not as a human failing, but as a condition deserving of healing. Our mission is to work with all organizations involved in mental health and addictions, and with the commitment of Her Honor, dedicate our efforts to eradicating the prejudice and barriers too often encountered by those who suffer from these maladies. It is too often said that matters in the public view are in the purview of the provincial government, but be it health, education, or societal needs. But it has been told since the time of the Bible that God helps those who help themselves. And the Circle firmly believes that it can play its role not in lieu of, but in support of the programs and policies of our Minister of Health and our Minister of Human Services. When people of goodwill come together in support of people entrusted with the services of the population, our achievements are limitless. But more importantly, we all collectively can become part of the solution, helping to eradicate the problem. And our Honour's vision and the Circle's implementation of this vision, with the help of our government, has gone a long way to addressing the mistruths, misunderstandings, and indeed the misdirection harbored by many in our population. I know that if we continue on this course, it is just a matter of time until we achieve our goal, that no one suffering mental health issue or an addiction shall face this alone. In the vernacular of Martin Luther King, we all have a dream, where one day children, regardless of their race, their color, or their creed, shall not have to face the future of bullying, neglect, or mental anguish, where men and women, be they black or white, red, brown, or yellow, rich or poor, Christian, Muslim, or Jewish, can all walk together hand in hand in support of those who need a hand in bearing this burden. And I know you, the recipients of today's True Awards and the Donald S. Ethel Youth Award, have moved us many steps down this road together. Congratulations to you all. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, Sol. I would now like to invite Lindsay Kelly, who is the chair of the True Awards Committee, to come up and tell us a bit more about the awards program we'll see today.
Thanks so much, Shay. I did have the privilege of chairing the awards committee this year, and we received 28 excellent submissions. I want to thank my committee for their hard work. Their names are listed in the program. The Honourable Donald Ethel's desire in creating the True Awards was to bring attention to mental illness, not on focusing on the negative aspects, but rather by focusing on the positive experiences, and of which there are many. Unfortunately, we don't hear about them that often. Our attention is often drawn to stories where people are struggling. Yet, many are thriving. And these are the stories that you'll hear today. So anyone can nominate, and anyone can be nominated. So we accept nominations throughout the year, so please visit the website, and if you know someone that's doing extraordinary things, tell us about these amazing people so that they can be recognized. We're so humbled that all of the nominees have done to reduce stigma and change the conversation around mental illness. My sincere congratulations to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. I would like to now invite Edmonton's most stylish councillor, Scott McKean. Please come on up.
I just want to say what a personal privilege it is to be here. I was one of the founding directors of the Circle, and here I am 6-7 years later, probably, seeing the fruition of all that, and I see such good friends, Glynis, Faye, Austin, Saul, and people who've done such great work. And I was thinking, as Saul was talking, the work he's done in reducing stigma in the interfaith world too. So you do, there's so many great leaders in this room, and I really appreciate that. I do want to also say, I come here with great pride as a representative of the City of Edmonton, knowing that City Chaplain John Dowds will be honored here today. And it's great to see some of those folks at the back of the room. It was the union leadership in the City of Edmonton that nominated John for this. And John does such quiet, good work in the background at City Hall in uplifting the spirits of a civil service that has 14,000 members. And he just has a wonderful, wonderful way of talking too, that maybe that's your trick, I don't know, but it works. So thank you, John. Great to see, I know Nancy McCalder very well too, and talk about well-earned as well. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. There's a quiet epidemic of addictions and depression and anxiety disorders in our culture. I'm a little skeptical about the 1 in 5. I suspect it's much higher than that if we were to really put people on truth serum. We have a housing crisis in our community as well, and at the bottom of mental health issues and addiction are those that end up, because of mental illness, because of trauma, living on the streets. And we have a lot of work to do, the municipal government, the provincial government, and the federal government, to do what's right. But you know, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank the Circle for continuing its good work. And Your Honor, thank you for being, to offer your leadership on this. It's so important that we make sure that this issue is brought up to this level of discourse all the time. So thank you one and all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor. It is time to meet our award recipients this afternoon. There's 5 awards that we're giving out today, and each of the recipients receive a personalized scroll along with a special True Awards pin that we hope that they will wear often and with great pride. So, the first presentation this afternoon is for the True Grit Award. Now, the True Grit Award is presented to an individual who has made use of mental health or addiction services and inspired others to get help in management of mental health or substance abuse, and has in some way dedicated themselves to furthering mental health or addiction education and awareness. Now, to introduce the 2016 recipient of the True Grit Award, I would like to call on last year's recipient, Jeffrey Chalafu, who will come up and tell us about this year's winner. Jeff?
Good afternoon, folks. Your Honor, distinguished guests and award recipients, it is my pleasure to come up here this afternoon and introduce this year's True Grit Award recipient. Catherine Martin was born and raised in Oklahoma City, where she earned her Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture, specifically forestry, from Oklahoma State University. She also earned a Bachelor of Art in Pastoral Ministry from Newman University. She also has a doctorate in jurisprudence from the University of Oklahoma College of Law and a Master's of Theology Studies degree from Newman Theological College. That's a lot of education. I'm working on my first bachelor's degree. Wow. I first met Catherine when she came into our group, in our mental health group for our social work students. She came in and she was able to share with us her experience working in this field. And it's great to see that she's being honored for her work that she has done. She was there early in my education. Now, Catherine is a retired attorney whose former practice included representing homeless, disabled, and mentally ill, of which she had over hundreds of mentally ill clients. After a near-fatal attack that left her in a wheelchair for 8 years, through her determination and perseverance, she taught herself how to walk again. She now has developed PTSD, and she is an author, lecturer, and an advocate for the disabled. Without further, let's welcome Catherine.
Catherine is a true advocate for people with suffering from mental illness.
Catherine Martin is, in short, I think one of the most remarkable people you will ever meet. She's a person throughout her life who's had to live with a lot of different circumstances, with some disability, some trauma, PTSD. So in essence, mental illness and disability, and yet goes far beyond virtually anybody I've ever known to help support the needs of other people.
She and her husband attend the Glenrose on a regular basis to give in services to our student nurses on working with patients with mental illness. And the sessions are amazing, and the students really appreciate it.
Catherine is often involved in speaking engagements. She's probably literally done hundreds in the 10 years since she's been living in Edmonton. And she's living and married to a person who's probably one of the better known people living with mental illness in the country, who often is in the limelight, and she chooses to be in the background.
She's very kind, very warm, empathetic, and has fantastic insights, very eloquent, just an amazing person.
She is one of the most caring, compassionate individuals who has a tremendous bravery, living with the disabilities that she has experienced firsthand, living with the experience that she has with interacting with people, her family and others in a very public way often, takes a lot of courage. And she's to be commended. And I think the LG Circle is to be commended for recognizing her work and her efforts in that regard.
And I'm so happy that she's being recognized for this award.
I wanted to thank the Lieutenant Governor and the Circle for this recognition. One of the things my life has taught me is that every life matters equally. We have equal dignity, we have equal humanity, and we have an equal right to participate in society. When you're a kid, you know there's monsters under the bed. And in my house, the monster wasn't under my bed, it was under my dad's bed. And I knew this because I could hear him fighting it at night. His arms would hit the wall, he would cry, and he would scream. When I got older, I realized that it wasn't a monster. If they talked about it at all back then, they would have said it was battle fatigue or shell shock. Today we call it PTSD. I inherited my dad's nose and his ears. I think it would have upset him to know that I had also inherited his PTSD. But something else he taught me is that everything works out as long as you get up and go to work. And when I got hurt and lost my career, I knew I had to find something to do. I had to have some reason to get up. I had to have something to do, somebody to help, something that would allow me to impact somebody's lives. I also learned that you never fail in life so long as you get up and try again. And boy, have I fallen a lot of times. My mom would have said, we ain't got no give up in us. And if I'm known for nothing else in my life, I hope that I'm remembered as someone who did not give up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. The next award this afternoon is the True Compassion Award. Now, this award is given out to an individual or an organization, this year an individual, that has provided extraordinary contributions to the delivery of mental health and addiction programs or services. And this year's award honors someone who has really and truly gone above and beyond to help individuals achieve progress in their journey towards mental health recovery. The winner this year is City of Edmonton chaplain John Dowds, who was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and immigrated to Canada in 1976. Went to the University of Toronto, did a chaplaincy at the Sick Kids Hospital there. In 2006, he came and joined the City of Edmonton as the chaplain for the City of Edmonton employees and their families. His work as chaplain includes short-term counseling, crisis intervention, consulting, teaching, works very closely with city administration and the unions, and John promotes education and understanding regarding mental health and mental health problems. In fact, he teaches mental health first aid and offers various workshops on topics such as stress, grief, and mediation. And in addition, he serves as a resource and support to our city's peer support teams. He says he seeks to be a guiding and empathetic presence to those who are in need. He encourages people to reach out for help, saying reaching out is never a sign of weakness, but rather one of strength. He inspires people to nurture the spiritual part of their being in ways that work for them. How does he do that for him? Well, he and his wife have a blended family, 7 children, 7 grandchildren. How does he care for himself while being chaplain to 12,000 employees? Pretty simple. Spends lots of times with his family and friends, calls upon the Holy One for strength and guidance, checks in with his psychologists, exercises, and watches British shows on Netflix. Netflix seems to work for just about anything, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome City of Edmonton chaplain John Dowds, this year's True Compassion Award winner.
Goodness. We've had a lot in a very short period of time. The people who come to see me can be anything ranging from challenges with children, the loss of a parent, a spouse, illness, workplace issues, domestic violence issues, stress, spirituality, of course. So it's sort of the whole gamut. I get to do a lot of training in the city, and I get to do a lot of workshops, which I love to do. I love to teach. The main point of the exercise, along with all the other great stuff that we're talking about here, is to try and equate the fact that mental health problems can be equally, if not more, disabling than some physical health problems. There are some similarities, certainly, in terms of sort of the theory of physical first aid and mental health first aid. So let's say someone cut themselves badly and we put some pressure on the cut to keep the bleeding under control. That's sort of the physical first aid kind of response. In a mental health first aid kind of response, maybe somebody's having a panic attack, and people who are trained in mental health first aid know how to respond to that, to support and help the employee, and the better equipped we are to provide a safe environment for the employee and also for the other employees around them. Then that mental health first aider will be able to help them through that process in an initial kind of way until professional help is provided to them.
John Dowds, and I think of this award, the True Compassion Award, that's John Dowds to a T. He is the most kind and caring, compassionate man that I know. The Domestic Violence in Your Workplace initiative, John Dowds has spearheaded. And so with domestic violence, I think it's very important that we have those conversations with our colleagues. And we say, your colleague might be experiencing domestic violence at home.
So the greater the understanding we have of domestic violence, that it doesn't just stay at home, so to speak, it comes into the workplace as well. So it becomes a larger issue around how do we manage the mental health of our employees. So Alexa and I may have a conversation about how I'm feeling today, and I'm sort of feeling so-so, and she'll know that, and she'll say, maybe you should think about, getting some help with that. That mental health first aid or Alexa may have another conversation with me 10 days from now about the same thing and bring it back to that same place. With that sort of education and destigmatization, people are coming forward more and saying, yeah, I got some mental health stuff.
Through John's leadership, he's constantly looking for ways to support staff in the global sense of wellness, and that's who John is. I think for a corporation, the City of Edmonton, he's really been a true leader.
And I think it's incredibly brave of people to come and share some of their story with somebody that they don't know. And I feel very privileged and very humbled that people would come and share some of their deepest selves with me.
When I think of John as a truly compassionate person, he's the one.
Mental health first aid, it's about having a serious conversation with someone about what's going on with them in their lives and giving them hope. This is an honor that for me goes completely beyond words. When I first heard that I was being nominated, I was stunned. And when I heard that I was going to be receiving the award, I was even more stunned and without words, which, if my family can attest, is not always the case. There are many people I'd like to thank, if I may. Certainly the Lieutenant Governor's Circle on mental health, what you have done and what you continue to do to dispel mythology and educate and support. It's tremendous, tremendous work. I'd also like to thank the Coalition of Unions, and looking at the back of the room, I see some members of union present, and I consider them to be colleagues and also friends, so thank you. And also to Jay Davies, who's here, and thank you too for nominating me. Jay works with Fire Rescue Services, and I have the privilege of working alongside Fire Rescue quite often. I'd also like to thank the City of Edmonton for its foresight. 30 plus years ago, the City of Edmonton decided to hire its first chaplain, and I've been in the position now for 10 years. And the City of Edmonton was on the cutting edge then, and continues to be on the cutting edge of that, because it still remains to be the only municipality in the country that has a position such as the one I serve in. So kudos to the City of Edmonton and its foresight in regard to that. Of course, to my spouse and my children, some of whom are here today, who they keep me grounded, which is a great thing. They love me even on days when I'm unlovable, and they are the best therapy in the world for me. And I'd also like to thank, and maybe even primarily, the people who have opened their door to me, to the door of their heart, the door of their mind, the door of their soul, and they've said to me, come on in. Come on in and spend some time with me, because I have some things I'd like to share with you. I need to talk to you about that. And they entrust their story to me, and entrust the very depths of their being to me. And that is the greatest honor and the greatest privilege. And I can't thank them enough for that. My wife said, so don't forget to do what they do in the Oscars and thank God. And after all, you should do that because you're a chaplain, so you should thank God somewhere along the way. So I do that, not in a cheesy way as in thank God that we won the Super Bowl, that kind of stuff, but rather thank God because for me anyway, that Holy One, in whatever way you conceive that Holy One to be, for me is the strength and the care and the comfort and the support that I need to do what I need to do. So thank you for the honor of this, Your Honor. Thank you to the Circle, and thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. That brings us now to the True Service Award, which is given to a public body that has demonstrated excellence in the delivery of mental health and or addiction service in Alberta. This year, the Aventa Addictions Treatment for Women is winning this award. It was established back in 1970, so it's been around for a while. The Aventa Centre for Excellence for Women with Addictions has a long-standing and distinguished reputation, provincially and nationally, for providing gender-specific and evidence-based holistic addiction treatment services for women, focusing on trauma-informed and concurrent-capable residential addiction treatment services. Aventa's program is client-centered, working women to build safety plans and a path to personal resilience based on each woman's individual experience and situation. Aventa has won numerous awards over the years, and we are pleased to add another one to that long list this afternoon. The award today will be accepted by Marla Thorvaldson.
Aventa has been offering gender-specific women's treatment for 46 years. We started in 1971. An average of 82% of our clients that come in over the last 3 years report trauma in their histories. So it's really important to have a place where they feel safe, and that is in a gender-specific environment.
So the purpose of the program is to help women to understand the role that trauma has played, to understand how it's played out not just in addictions, but difficulties in relationships and coping in general. Besides the group counseling, there's family counseling, there's a recreational program, and all of those things are quite helpful in helping the young women deal with the complexity of the problems that they come in with. When people go through significant trauma in their life, it's not something that anybody ever really gets over, as much as how do people learn to live with it in their lives and not have it affect them in the same way that it did earlier. So in that sense, it is always with a person. A person's very aware of the way that it's impacted them, but it loses their power over them. We really covered the broad spectrum of the areas of a woman's life that's impacted by both the trauma and the addiction.
Aventa has been an integral part of my recovery. Aventa honestly saved my life because I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the tools to cope with things like maintaining my first job, my first relationship, my first heartbreak, first time living on my own, being financially responsible, like any of that stuff. There's a lot of coping skills that I was given as well, because I do have a lot of trauma in my childhood, which is one of the reasons I chose Aventa, because it is a trauma-based program. After I had graduated, where life got hard. Life gets hard. Life in recovery, especially when you're early in recovery, isn't easy. I was basically alone in Calgary and felt very, very alone. But with Aventa being there and supporting me as I went on, I have been able to succeed.
I truly feel that we're fortunate to work at Aventa and do the work that we do. I mean, we get to help women. We have a choice in whatever profession we choose to work in. I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that this is not easy work that we choose to do at Aventa. And it's not easy work for the women that choose to access our services or the women that deliver the service. I mean, it's really difficult to rehash or bring up traumatic events in your life. It takes a lot of trust, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of skilled and compassionate counselors to help women walk through that process. I'm really proud of the work that we do at Aventa and of the clinical team that we have at Aventa. I don't think that there's anywhere else that I would rather be than here, making a difference in the lives of women and their families. I mean, healthy women equals healthy families and healthy communities. So what better place to be than at the front line?
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Aventa board, staff, and women in need of our services, I'd like to extend our gratitude to the Honourable Lois Mitchell and the Lieutenant Governor's Circle on Mental Health and Addiction for selecting Aventa as the recipient of the True Award in the category of True Service. I'd also like to thank our nominators for this award, Dr. Glenda McQueen, Dr. Beverly Frizzell, Dr. Kate Bisbee, and Diana Cressy, the CEO and President of the Calgary Homeless Foundation. Thank you very much to the selection committee for recognizing Aventa's experience, passion, and commitment to helping women who struggle with trauma, addictions, mental health, and stigma, all within the province of Alberta. We truly appreciate your recognition and support. And congratulations to all the True Award recipients. It's a privilege to be here with all of you today. I'm so honored to work with the Aventa board and staff team. It is such a privilege to witness the change we see in women each day as we support them on their journey to wellness. To see women regain their confidence, self-esteem, dignity, and to find hope in the future is extremely rewarding. I truly cannot think of anything more rewarding than the services we provide at Aventa. We're helping women every day to find their way back so they can take control of their lives, reunite with their children and their families, and become happy, healthy, and productive members of our community. Addiction and mental health are often invisible or elusive. Many Albertans are not fully aware of the increasingly devastating toll addictions and mental health are taking on our society. What we do know is that they both touch the lives of all Albertans, regardless of our cultural background, gender, age, economic status, or educational level. When women are healthy, families are healthy, that makes our communities healthy. That's something that can be shared and celebrated by all Albertans. Thank you for your commitment and support for people who struggle with mental health, addictions, and stigma. Together, we are making a significant difference in the lives of Alberta.
Thank you, Marlene. Congratulations. Next up, we have the True Leadership Award, which is presented to a non-governmental or non-profit organization, business, or private enterprise for providing exceptional leadership in improving mental health and addictions programs or treatment. This year, the award winner is Nancy McCalder, the Executive Director at the Support Network. Nancy led a partnership with Alberta Health Services to operationalize the first wellness network, mental health support service around here. She also continued to reach for operational excellence for essential programs we're all familiar with: 24-hour distress line, suicide grief support, and 211. Nancy has been a leading advocate in our community for mental health services. Throughout her career, she remained resolute that services be accessible at all times to people of all socioeconomic backgrounds, and that they operate as best performers in the field. Specifically, she led the international accreditation of the distress line and 211 services. Nancy's greatest achievements have been in the area of countering stigma. She championed many initiatives to that effect. Nancy is many, many things: a dedicated service provider, an empowering practitioner, a passionate advocate, a tireless communicator, a creative manager, and a visionary leader. And today she is also an award recipient. Nancy, please come up and accept your award.
Distress line.
Hi,
I really need to talk to somebody right now. I'm feeling really overwhelmed and like I can't do this anymore.
The distress line is the only service that we have that is 24/7. It's answered by trained volunteers who are non-judgmental, who are empathetic. Yes, friends and family can be supportive, but they may not necessarily have the skills to give you the right support you need at the right time, because we're emotionally engaged.
Are you thinking about suicide?
Yes, I am thinking of suicide.
I went and met with every single city councillor at one point in time, really trying to raise awareness about how important this was, and it was really also around the discussions around the high-level bridge, and when they were looking at putting the barriers up on the bridge. And so I really wanted to educate them and say, we also need to get to people before they reach the bridge. The distress line provides a place where people get help when life hurts.
Anytime you talk about mental health, especially with young people, they're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid of the stigma that was attached to it, and that was the case with my daughter Hillary. Whenever I think about Hillary, I think about young people today, my first thought is, gosh, I'm 59 years old. I'm sure glad I'm not 20. I'm sure glad I'm not 16 today, because I really believe that the societal pressures are enormous today. She was suffering from depression and had nowhere to turn to. She was getting some professional help. She was visiting a psychologist and a psychiatrist and was on a drug program, and it was those drugs that actually took her life because she overdosed on them to try and ease the pain. That's what the distress line means to me now, is the more we can get the word out there about it, the more we can help them do their work, where they can send people to get the right advice, to get what they need to get them through their darkest moments.
Our call volumes on the distress line in the last year have actually gone up. We were getting around 12,000 a year, and now we're getting about 12,500 a year. Middle-aged men have a lot of stress on them, whether it's job, family, it's all kinds of things that are going on. We also have a huge volume of our Indigenous peoples. Youth are at risk, but they're not the highest risk. The other high-risk group are our LGBT communities. We had 200 calls on the distress line within 1 week related to the fires in Fort McMurray. How distressing was that for somebody to leave their community? Their home may be gone, everything they've ever owned is gone, and thank goodness we had the distress line to support those people. We do know that people will think of suicide as an escape. So potentially every single call we're getting can be related to suicide. I could not do my job on my own. It's absolutely critical that you have a team of people. My role I saw as being the person that created the environment so the team could do their best work.
Call the distress line. I mean, get help wherever you can get help, but the distress line makes it, I won't say it's easy because it's never going to be easy for those kids, but that's the number one thing. Make the call, trust me as a parent who's lost a loved one. This is the best place to get help. Call.
I've had some very close friends who have worked through some mental health issues as well. So it's kind of like it's gravitated to me too through my life, and I've always been working with kids or people. It's just been my calling.
I am deeply honored to receive this award. Thank you to my colleagues who nominated me. Thank you as well to the people who were my mentors, supporters, and friends. You have brought me a long way on this journey, and I have learned a great deal from you. I want to thank my friends and family who are here today. I know our sons are here in spirit as they live and travel in Europe. I'm especially grateful to have my mom here today. It was Mom who taught me to speak up when I saw things or I experienced injustices. You can ask her later about some of my childhood escapades. But it's very ironic that I'm here today as well. because as an undergrad student, I had the opportunity to visit a hospital in Penetang, Ontario, that was specifically for the mentally ill, including the criminally insane. And I went on this field trip, and we had a social event with the residents there, and I was terrified. I literally froze on the spot. I had no exposure before of people with any kind of a mental illness. So my friends, my colleagues, you have taught me a great deal. Stigma is everywhere, and it prevents people from reaching out. I know from the research and the experience that I've had that distressed people are afraid of our traditional healthcare system. Mostly, they really don't need an ambulance or they don't need our hospital services. First, they need somebody to listen. Without the support and validation from a trained listening ear, we run the risk of losing these people to suicide. My greatest challenge in my career was advocating for sustained funding for the distress line. Crisis, loss, and suicide supports are a really tough sell. We all experience crisis in our lives, and we ourselves don't always get the support we need. Thus, the need for a sustained, publicly funded distress line in our province. Like another person who was quoted today, I have a dream. I have a dream that we have a highly skilled, trained volunteers working alongside our formal healthcare system, being the first responders, if you will, to people in distress and crisis. The community can play a huge role in the education, support, and reducing stigma. The community can be the wayfinder to help people navigate our mental health system. It would increase access and it would reduce the cost of more expensive services. So those of you that are here today, I hope you will take my dream and think about it and try to implement it. And if you do, let me know, because I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, and congratulations. Up next, we come to the True Imagination Award, and this award is given to an individual or to a group that has developed imaginative new ways to reduce stigma, promote understanding, deliver treatment, or implement some projects and some programs, and this year is pretty cool. It's my pleasure to announce that the 2016 True Imagination Award goes to the St. Trojans for their Make Some Noise for Mental Health campaign. The awareness campaign highlights mental health resources and the supports that are available on the SAIT campus, as well as the local area. And at the end of each January, Make Some Noise for Mental Health is promoted at SAIT through student-led interactive activities, recreational and wellness events, and at St. Trojans volleyball, hockey, and basketball home games. The True Imagination Award this afternoon will be accepted by Dr. David Ross.
Make Some Noise for Mental Health campaign came about in the summer of 2014. So a colleague and I were chatting about some new outreach initiatives that we wanted to do, and it was right after the Brentwood murders in Calgary. We both felt really upset about it, and it wasn't so much about the actual tragedy but more of empathetic of the people that were lost their loved ones and just what they might have been going through. And I had gone through a personal tragedy like that, and we just felt, you know what, mental health is something that we probably need to discuss more.
I got involved with the Make Some Noise for Mental Health campaign when I was in my second year of studies in new media production and design. And as soon as we sat down for our first meeting, my head started going nuts with all these different ideas. And just to kind of see something, seeing an idea that was just one word become a bunch of different visuals was really exciting for me, not just as a creative, but also as a student athlete.
Often from our side, from an athletics department too, we focus on their physical side. Those of course are very important, but we also don't really ever get a chance to ask them about the mental health side. But we just felt this was a good chance to maybe see if there was an interest with our student athletes to have a bigger conversation about mental health.
So Before I came to SAIT, I was actually studying computer science at the University of Calgary. And during that time was probably the hardest year and a half of my life. I was physically going through a lot of stress during that time.
This is such an influential time in their lives, and if we can impact the student athletes to learn those great life lessons, that's just going to help them down in their career as well as where they are right now in their school life.
The thing that I've noticed through the Make Some Noise for Mental Health campaign is that a lot of people are really starting to talk about mental health whether it's in a general level or a specific level. I've seen a lot of my peers come out with very extreme stories that break my heart, but I've also had situations where like some people are saying, oh, I've had a bad day, I just need someone to talk to, and just having those group of friends or support group out there being able to, just listen is something that I've seen this campaign do on an amazing scale. And to bring the awareness of saying that you are not alone, there are resources out there on campus as well as off campus in your own community is definitely something we need to spread to students, whether they're a student athlete or not.
It proves to us that we're on the mark of finding something that really resonates with them, and that's what it's about. It's about being student-led, and any ideas that they have, we can hopefully take this from a grassroots level and make a big impact.
I stand here a very humble surrogate for the SAIT Trojans family. They picked me, and I'm not sure it was the right choice because many of them are with us here this afternoon, and they're the ones that really do the work. Our SAIT team recognized that imagination can liberate the spirit and opens us up to possibilities. They saw a problem and proved that by using imagination, teamwork, and collaboration, we can find solutions that achieve widespread benefits. Now, they also recognized and realized that the best way to get action on mental health was not through quiet conversations behind closed doors, but instead, the SAIT team tackled the problem and the stigma, I believe, with a highly visible awareness campaign that made a lot of noise. Our athletes have always been campus and community leaders. I'm very proud of that, illustrating how academic excellence and athletic success can indeed occur in tandem. In fact, the Trojans have been awarded the Canadian Collegiate Athletic Association's Award for Community Service 4 times, making SAIT the only school in Canada to have won this honor more than twice. The Make Some Noise for Mental Health campaign has now been embraced across all Alberta colleges in the athletic conferences that we play in, and is, you'll be interested to know, gaining momentum across Canada, with other schools taking this on across the Canadian Collegiate Athletic Association's membership. I personally would like to say thank you to the SAIT Trojans, the student athletes, the coaches, the staff for creating Make Some Noise. It is a pleasure to be around these young athletes and what they do. I'd also like to thank the Canadian Mental Health Association here in Alberta who helped guide the process. Thank you, Your Honor, the Honourable Lois Mitchell, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, for making mental health a priority. I think it is absolutely the right thing to do, and for encouraging all of us to do our part to combat this important issue. Together we'll continue to make some noise for mental health, an effort that will ensure the positive message resonates across our campuses and beyond. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. And finally this afternoon we have a very special treat. This is the Donald S. Ethel Youth Award. It's a semi-annual award that was just initiated this year in recognition of Colonel Ethel's contribution to advancing the conversation about mental health. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the incredible work he did. We know that over 80% of mental illnesses see their onset prior to the age of 18. We also know that youth are incredibly capable and creative and that we need to look to them for leadership in addressing mental illness support and prevention. The inaugural Youth Award was given in a special ceremony in Okotoks in March of this year. The second Youth Award we are giving away here this afternoon, and it's being given to an extraordinary youth named Mackenzie Murphy. And wait till you hear this story. It really is remarkable. At the age of 12, Mackenzie was a victim of bullying, both online and in person, and the trauma culminated in her attempting to take her own life at the age of 12. Upon discharge from the Alberta Children's Hospital, she decided that something had to change. So she lobbied for Airdrie's mayor and council to create an anti-bullying bylaw that focused on the damage to the victim's mental health. And since then, and it hasn't been all that long, Mackenzie has become a national public speaker for mental health awareness. She's recognized worldwide for the work that she does. She's a role model for the Canadian clothing line Wear Your Label. She was Canada's first recipient of the International Diana Award, which is given in memory of Princess Diana. She spoke on stage in front of 20,000 people at We Day Alberta in 2015. And she continues to speak out in her roles as the 2015 Miss Teenage Airdrie, Miss Teen Alberta American Beauty 2016, and she is hoping that her newest pageant title in 2017 will allow her to speak out internationally to end the stigma that is associated with mental illness. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mackenzie to the stage to receive the award.
Am I supposed to say something? Oh, dear. I definitely came unprepared. I mean, I'm just gonna talk as a 17-year-old who just went through something that sucked really bad. First off, I'd like to say thank you so much to everyone who contributed to not only me receiving this award, because that's incredible, but also just making this a thing in itself. It's so inspiring to see as a youth so many adults and leaders taking mental illness seriously. When I didn't really know what was going on in my head, when I was a 12-year-old who was super, super confused, and I didn't really know what was happening to me. And I had a lot of people tell me that it was all in my head, that this was all made up and that it wasn't serious. And as a kid, I didn't know how to handle that. I hoped there was hope. I didn't know if it was there. I hadn't felt it yet. I'd done the bylaw, but the bullying still continued. It wasn't, when the cameras came off and I went home, the pain was still always there. It didn't just stop. And I went back into the hospital several times. I was admitted into the mental health ward 9 times. And so coming here today, looking back on all that, I'm now speaking from a place of where I know there is hope. I've felt it, I've seen it, and I've lived it. And it's moments like this where it's right in front of me and I know it's there. And there's times where it's not so great, but there's times like this where it's incredible. And it's moments like this that I look back on when I thought, oh, hey, maybe I don't want to be here anymore, that I'm sort of like, what would I have missed, hey? Like, what a life. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much. And yeah, keep doing your thing, because you're inspiring a lot of little 12-year-olds like I once was, and 17-year-olds like I am now. So thank you.
Congratulations. Mackenzie Murphy, I think we'd be wise to remember that name. I think we're going to hear it again. Congratulations to all of our award winners this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the awards ceremony portion of this afternoon. Let's give all of our recipients one more round of applause. Right now, if I could ask you all to please stand for the exit of the Vice Regal Party.